Aloha, welcome to another episode of Love What with Audrey Weilai, where I ask my friends and mentors what non-romantic love means to them. And today we have a wonderful friend, Muawiya, with us. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Muawiya. I'm originally from South Africa. I'm part British as well, and I spent my life in South Africa, Egypt, Jordan, and Malaysia. And I'm about to start an exciting new chapter studying my master's in London. But for the past few years, on and off, I've been sort of dabbling in freediving and poetry.
I'm surprised that you mentioned poetry because I looked at your LinkedIn profile and it was super tech.
Yes, it is a very tech-heavy profile.
Can you tell us more about how many languages do you speak and what was it like to work at CNT?
Yeah, so I speak English and Arabic. Those are my two, I wouldn't say mother tongues, but bilingual in both. Because
Yeah.
when I was relatively young, we moved to Egypt and I went to a full-on Arabic school. So from a young age, I was immersed in that world. And even moving to Malaysia when I was a teenager, I also continued at an Arabic school.
Hmm.
And working the scene was awesome. Still occasionally, I work on projects for them. It's a really exciting initiative that they have opportunities for first-hand journalism and documenting that, which
Okay.
does give you access to a wider variety of perspectives and sort of more diversity. But this project that I specifically worked on was translating Arabic footage into English for
Okay.
short form content, but also long form documentary style content as well, which was quite an interesting experience. And it did teach me a lot, but it was challenging at the same time, I would say.
Did you cry?
Yes, what set this apart was interacting with footage in its raw form, in its unprocessed form, which is not usually what you see on news or on social media. So that was very difficult. And I remember the first few days I was speaking to my parents about it, and like, you need to pace yourself, take it easy, take it slow. And if you need to talk, you need to process this because it's quite disturbing, very harrowing to see other human beings experience something like that. And to hear it in the native language is a kind of a different experience, I would say.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely did cry. Definitely did have some sleepless nights, and especially at that time. So we were doing a lot of projects day in, day out. And you sort of have to compartmentalize to be able to translate it more reliably. So what you feel and what you actually hear and then translate into English, you have to separate those, which is something I suppose you get better at with experience and with time. But it's something that does affect you even once you get past that obstacle of, okay, this is work and I need to do this. Like somebody has to do it. So definitely, yes.
And what did you learn that you didn't know before?
It's hard to boil it down into one thing, but I learned that the strength of the human spirit is something that we don't fully understand. I think we often take it for granted. And you witness people in very, very difficult circumstances, some of the most difficult, and there is still hope, there's still belief, and there's still, again, a lot of love and opportunity. They see ways of growing even through this and holding on to their identities. And I think in a world that's quite topsy-turvy, as it were, we can
Yeah.
often forget that the human spirit is really, really powerful, and it takes a bit of belief, but it can get you very, very far no matter where you are. That's what I would say the biggest takeaway has been for me.
And you mentioned there's still love. So what does love mean to you?
In a non-romantic context, I think it's about acceptance, meaning accepting the other person for who they are and attempting to the best of your ability to support them in the
Mm.
ways that they need, seeing them for who they are and looking past the facade, looking past what's on the outside, what um, they present to the outside world and sort of isolating their core. Who is that person at their core? And trying to sort of be a helping hand on their journey to become themselves or become more them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Like
Mm.
Dr. Gabor Mate.
Yes. Absolutely. I think Gabor Mate is a very powerful voice in this arena because he's like exposing what's actually happening to people who, on the outside, it's difficult to peer in because it seems like this really complex, muddy situation. But he's
Mm.
providing his like a rather balanced perspective to the general public. So I see a lot of value in what he's doing.
You studied psychology in school, and how did that lead you through doing something that's more in the tech world?
Yeah, it's a great question. Never saw myself in the tech space, and I'm not a programmer, not a an engineer, but I had this opportunity during my undergraduate studies with a company called Lizard, and they were looking for someone to work in HR. And I remember getting through the interviews and getting hired, and right before I was like, "Hey, you guys work in this product space. I'd love to learn about it. Can I give it a go?" And they're like, "You know what?" So instead of just doing HR, I ended up doing like a 2 weeks induction to being a product owner, and the rest was history. I've never looked back. It was an incredibly transformative experience for many reasons, but I'd say the two reasons. One would be the people there; they're just awesome to work with, and second, it's the variety of projects and clients that they would collaborate with. We had everything from a sneaker startup to like a waste management company. It's just incredible day-to-day variety was really exciting, and that's how I got into it, and sort of stuck in that space for a bit through like my network, but venturing out, and now I'm sort of venturing back into the policy realm and economics.
What are you hoping to learn and also achieve as you pivot more towards policy?
My aspiration has always been in the field of behavioral economics
Mm.
and nudging people. So creating choice architecture to create positive societal change at no cost to society, right? So instead of
Mm.
taxing people for to create better behavior, you're creating an environment where they are empowered to make better decisions for themselves and to improve general socioeconomic outcomes. So that is what I hope to learn to hone in on the theoretical aspect, gain some practical or applied exposure through the network
Mm.
in London. And what do I have to achieve? Well, exactly that. I'm not sure where that career lies specifically right now. It's hard to say, but it could be with multilateral, like NGOs or private sector. But that's what I'm hoping to achieve, to apply what I've learned in behavioral science and psychology and sort of take that through
Mm.
economics or policy making lens, because I think it's
Okay.
an incredibly powerful thing that we've sort of neglected for a long time, where we've, we've said, okay, let's forget about human behavior. Everybody is
Mm.
rational, and we're going to fashion our policies based on that. But the reality is, we're really not rational beings. We're
No.
emotional beings. We're a bit more interesting than that. And
Mm.
understanding human psychology and how we make the decisions we make and why we do the things that we do can help us sort of lift each other up in ways
Mm.
that we may not have been aware of before.
Is there a real life example you can give that illustrate what you just shared?
Absolutely. Be hard to narrow it down, but my one of my favorite examples is a study by the World Bank. So the World Bank has this unit called Embed, EMBED, and they're the Mind, Behavior, and Development unit. And what they focus on is this specific thing. And a few years ago, they ran a fascinating RCT, randomized control trial on the growth mindset. Have you heard of the growth mindset before?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
It's a titular concept in positive psychology. So
yes.
viewing setbacks as opportunities for growth instead of failures. And what the World Bank did in this study across, I think it was Peru, South Africa, and Indonesia, is they taught school children the growth mindset. And the idea behind that was, can we improve their school performance as an objective measure of this growth mindset? And in
Mm.
fact, they did. I think they saw double-digit percentage increases in mathematics scores over the course of a year, from when they introduced or taught them this growth mindset to when they were examined towards the end of the trials. That's my favorite example. I think it's incredibly powerful to shape young minds in a very healthy way,
Mm.
because seeing opportunities as growth instead of failure can really differentiate you and can really set you up on a healthier track, growing into adulthood and embracing life's challenges as opportunities instead of obstacles. And that framing can really improve your quality of life, but also your nitty gritty. When you get down to brass tacks, measurable metrics, right? Like scores, like performance, getting a job, excelling in your career and your family life. That is measurable. Even in that non-tangible way, you just feel better generally. At least that's what the
Mm.
research says.
That's great. Please keep me posted as you make
Definitely.
positive changes. What type of poetry do you like, and do you prefer reading or writing or both?
Oh, that's a tough one. So, what type of poetry do I prefer? I'd say for the longest time, I've really enjoyed Persian poetry and
Okay.
mystical poetry. So
Mm.
authors like Fariduddin Attar, which actually I have here on my desk. This book here is called The Conference of the Birds, and I would highly recommend it. It's a magnum opus of poetry. I don't carry books with me, not in this day and age, but it's the one physical book I carry everywhere. So I'd say
Mm.
definitely Farsi mystical poetry in that sense, or Sufi poetry. I do appreciate the more contemporary side, and that would be Fernando Pessoa, Portuguese poet. Um, this one here is called Forever, Forever Someone Else. It's a collection of his poetry. He's
Okay.
an interesting character. Um, he's more contemporary. He's in the 20th century, but he has this thing called heteronyms where he has these characters, not even characters, but identities that he writes through, and each one writes in a different way. One is like a Greek epic style writer, another is more of a contemporary free style poet, and he was largely undiscovered, and he wasn't known until he passed away, and they came across all
Mm.
of his papers, and they're like, whoa, okay, this is an incredible collection. I would resonate a lot with his poetry. It's about being everyone and no one at the same time, and finding
Mm.
identity in the lack of attachment or the lack of being someone specific, if that makes sense. So I'd say those are my two favorite collections if I had to
Mm.
select them. And do I prefer reading or writing? There are different seasons, right? There are seasons
Yeah.
where writing is what you need, and there are seasons where reading is what you're supposed to do. So in this season, it's neither here nor there, but I'd say a bit more writing. So I go through periods where I tend to write quite a bit more uh, vigorously, like every
Mm.
day, every few days, and sometimes it's a bit more spaced out. So once every month or
Mm.
once every few months, that break gives me a bit of perspective to be able to write again. But it just
Yeah.
depends on the season.
You mentioned how it resonate with you to be everyone, but also no one. Does that have something to do with how you grew up in different countries?
Absolutely, it's an interesting experience, and I'm sure a lot of what do you call TCKs, third culture kids would agree.
Yeah.
Um, the question of identity and belonging, I think that question is largely unanswered when it comes to growing up in different countries. Because um, South Africa, yes, is for example, tomorrow night, the Springboks are playing South African rugby team. I'm supporting them, and families back in South Africa. If you ask me, I'm South African, but I spent majority of my life outside of South Africa.
Mm.
There's a strange relationship that you have with your country of origin, because are you
Yeah.
South African? So I think yes, it's magnified by the fact that now, okay, am I partly Arab? Not really, but I identify a lot of culture. I grew up in that culture, in that environment. That's the current day and my life experience, but it's also where I come from. So my ancestors came from Iran and India. People will ask you, oh, so are you Indian? Are you Iranian? What are you? And the best answer I have is I'm South African and I'm fifth generation or fourth generation. And that's the best I can
Yeah.
give you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it comes with its strengths, challenges, or quirks.
Mm.
The primary strength is because of that lack of specific or particular belonging gives you a lot of flexibility, a
Mm.
flexibility in being in places because everywhere feels the same or feels like home,
Yeah.
and being with people because you just get to interact. I was very fortunate to interact and privileged to interact with so many different people, and it gives you this fresh perspective, and you see people, right? That question of love, you start seeing people at their core instead of
Mm.
their quirks, like their exterior and extreme exterior motives. that they come to you with, and this is what I want to do. This I want to become. This is who I'm presenting myself as. But at their core, who are they? Because you have so many data points. Okay, I can actually start checking people, and I can
Mm.
see them beyond that. Primary quirk is nowhere feels like home. So now I say Malaysia
Mm.
is home because my parents are here, because my network, my friends are here.
Yeah.
But that'll constantly change and evolve, and it's always temporary. It's different, and it's interesting.
And how are TCKs and TCK adults different than digital nomads? Is there a difference?
Is there a difference? They're doing the same thing at different stages of their lives.
Sure.
Comparison is difficult here, but if I had to go about it, I would say TCKs have been foundationally like shaped by their different environments and growing up across different cultures and countries. Digital nomads are also doing that, and they're doing that in adulthood with different responsibilities. So I think their perspectives are slightly different, but they're in a similar camp, and that's
Mm.
why you get to meet a lot of digital nomads traveling, and you do share this ideal or philosophy in some ways. So hard to distinguish, but I'd say just different
Okay.
stages of life.
How did you meet Wayne?
I met Wayne in Ahmed in Bali. I was there training and
Yay!
attempting to
That's
get
where
my.
I met him.
No way, yeah. uh, I didn't met him. Oh yes, I somehow forgot. The first time we met was in April. I was at apneista training, and you get just paired with random people. So
Hmm.
he showed up, and we went training on a buoy together. That's the first interaction I had with him.
Yeah.
And I met him again when I went back in May. This time was by chance. I went training with another friend, Maren. Just she was looking for someone to train in the pool, and like, hey, I'm also looking to train in the pool. And I show up, and there's Wayne. I'm like, no way,
You're
it's a
still
small
here.
small world. Yeah, he's still here. And we ended up training together a lot. I learned actually quite a few things, both in terms of freediving, because he's a really experienced instructor and he has a lot to teach, and there's a lot to learn
Mm.
from him. But also, generally, my favorite piece of advice from him was approaching hurdles or things in life like you would approach a dive. You approach first the 20 meters, the first 20 meters before your free fall. That's all you focus on. And then from there, you just have to trust a bit. And it's gotten me through quite a bit recently, where I'm just taking the first 20 meters and not setting any expectations on where the rest of the dive goes, and
Mm.
putting a bit more faith instead of planning out every single meter, even after the 20, and just trying to set these unrealistic expectations, but
Mm.
taking it more as it comes, and allowing things to happen around you and to happen to you. So a bit of stillness in a way. And so
Mm.
I really appreciated hearing that. He wasn't advising me specifically, but he was talking about uh, some of his personal life, and I found that really poetic and poignant uh, uh, takeaway, I think, from him. And
Yeah.
I've really thought about it every other day for the last month and a half, for sure. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
It's so simple and really profound.
it is. Yeah.
For my level 2 test,
How did you
it
meet? Yeah.
was same school, but he was there just to train, and I was there to take a class. And I
Hmm.
was so afraid to fail the exam. And someone else was saying, well, before you go to sleep tonight, imagine you're going the one hand over the other, and then just
Visualizing it.
imagine
Yeah.
visualizing it, breathing in and out and relax. And then tomorrow, just imagine that you were in a dream and focus on
Yeah.
that. Just one movement at a time. And
Mm.
it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. It's just taking it one pull at a time, right? With free
Yeah.
immersion, it's one,
Yeah.
yeah, favorite discipline as well, and it's just a really rhythmic and gentle way to go about things. But the visualization is super important. The night before or before your dive, you're just imagining every step. How does the water feel? What's the color of the water, the shade, the amount of light that you're seeing. Yeah, it's all part of the experience. I think half of freediving is visualization because how many times do you get to go and dive or to get in the water and dive deep? You have to use your resources wisely.
How long have you been doing freediving and what made you curious to want to try it?
I did my wave one here in Malaysia 3 years ago. I went into freediving because I saw this documentary on Patagonia called Fish Peoples, and there's a spearfisher freediver. Can't remember her full name, but her first name is Kim, if I'm not mistaken. She's a Hawaiian spearfisher, and
Mm.
she was describing what it was like to enter free fall, and she said it was like you're getting called home. And I said, okay, this is very, very interesting. I really have to try it. And I found a course, I found an instructor, I did my wave one, I had to take a gap year. And I ended up moving to the Philippines, got really into it. And I remember the first time experiencing free fall. I'm like, yes, no, that's absolutely what it is. Uh, it's it's just about feeling like you're immersed in this and you're coming home. I couldn't have described it better than she did. Uh, so that was 2023. Spent several months free diving, and I took a bit of a break, focusing on my studies. I did some pool training, but took a break, and then I got back to it this year by chance. It feels like a completely different sport, just in how I'm approaching it, what I've been learning, the people that I've been interacting with, and super grateful that I happened upon this through the documentary, through my wave one and beyond. It was a really transformative personal experience.
And how come you chose Molchanov instead of Aida and who knows what else?
Yeah, get this question a lot. So the different agencies, right? There's Molchanovs, there's IDA, there's SSI, Patty. I chose Molchanovs because it was the most difficult. It had the most requirements, like the highest requirements. So I wanted to choose the one that was the most rigorous. And the second reason was they had this workout generator thing. And I said, what if I want to take it further? What resources will it give me to progress on my own? And I asked a couple, like one friend of mine who had done some free diving, and he did his with Paddy. He's like, yeah, I've heard really good things about Molchanovs and also just availability, right? So which instructors, which schools are available. And Howie at Freedive and Rasa here in Malaysia, he was available, and it seemed like a very nice environment, very supportive, and I don't regret it at all. I'm so grateful I actually went with him
Yeah.
because I went back to Bali, went to Bali this year, and about 5 weeks ago, I went diving with him for the first time since my level one, and I
Mm.
was attempting instructor requirements. And so the last time I went diving with him, I was doing like 10 meters, 12 meters, right? Free
Yeah.
immersion, super slow, really bad technique, just beginner. And now I was there doing my no fins to 30, and he's my safety. It was so
Wow.
surreal because he was there safetying me with the same fins I had a picture of like a long time ago after I
Yeah.
finished my course. And he's there and he's coming down and he's watching me. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all about. It's all about this growth and seeing people who are supportive of you. He's been super supportive of my career as well in freediving. When I got my wave one, I asked him, so can I call myself a freediver now? And he's like, there's no such thing. There's a piece of paper doesn't make you a freediver. You already were one. You just needed to be shown that you can do it. And he's all about this positive mindset and empowering people, facilitating your diving. It's about
Mm.
what can you learn about it? How can you grow through this experience and taking it one step at a time, appreciating, even though you can do little at times, it's still something. Howie's awesome.
Have you been to Deep Week? I haven't.
I haven't personally, but I've heard some awesome things about it. Like, it's such a wonderful environment to be in. You have so many people learning free diving,
Mm.
talking free diving. I would love to volunteer as an instructor one day when I get the chance.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's quite the event. I remember just before I left Bali, it was about to happen, and you had people flocking to Ahmed, and it was just so busy. Everyone's there. Yeah, I'm here for Deep Week. I'm here for Deep Week. Yeah, I know I'm doing a couple training sessions, but I'm here to help out. And it's seeing that train, of boys in the waters, like, wow, this is what the sport is doing. So many people are getting into it. I personally haven't, but I would love to be a part of it someday.
When are you heading to London for your school?
I'm heading there next month. I've just given myself a bit of time to settle in there before classes start. So officially things start end of September, but we have a 2 week pre-sessional introduction thing. So I just wanted to get settled, do a lot of admin stuff. Because moving countries, you need to get relatively mundane things sorted, like healthcare, finances. Me, stuff that I've never had to do before, like voter registration, national
What?
insurance. Yeah, so that part is actually kind of exciting. Well, super exciting, actually. I've always been interested in politics, and I've never been able to exercise my right to
Okay.
vote, just based on logistics and age and everything. In South Africa, I think the age used to be 21 or something, and it's a whole thing going to the embassy, and I'm looking forward to that bit of thing. So next month, hopefully, just chill for a bit with family, get things sorted, and sort of ease in to a new life, a new chapter.
And why the school in London?
It's a good school, so it's
Okay.
yeah, it's the London School of Economics and Political Science, and it's in the name. So I wanted to sort of go into this route, policy, politics, economics, and there are few universities that made the shortlist, and this is one of them for several reasons. So number one is network. When you talk about the LSE, they have a very strong network when it comes to this field specifically, but also in the private sector. So it allows you to interact with and engage with individuals who have a lot of say when it comes to policy, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to these things. So network, and number two, I'd say, is the resources that they have. So in terms of their academic faculty, they're very strong. So that was a major reason why I selected them. Not just
Yeah.
the academic aspect of it, but it's both the academic and the professional aspects, because I do see myself maybe going into academia in the future,
Mm,
but I I always want to have a professional life. I wanted to be sort of moonlight as an academic, work as a consultant, that sort of thing. And
mm,
the department that I'm going to, the majority of the academics, they are full professors, they are academics, but at the same time, they hold senior roles in government, in policy, in think tanks, and I appreciate that balance and that perspective.
yeah.
And number three, I'd say, is reputation. Entering the workforce, angling for very specific roles, it's a huge asset to be in an institution that has a certain reputation. So it does bypass a few of the stages when it comes to interviews, when it comes to applying the things, or just getting noticed by
Yeah.
organizations. And I'm starting to see that already, where people they want to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm a nobody, but yeah, okay, but you have access to this, or and I'm
Yeah.
very grateful and super privileged, of course. But those are the three main reasons why I picked this. And adjacently, going back to the UK, going back, I've never lived there, but sort of going to a place where I'm a citizen. That for me is a
Yes.
novel idea. Not having to worry about visas, not having to
Mm,
stress about applying or reapplying or renewing or work rights. I just have to go there, show up, and study. I think it's a privilege that I think you take for granted sometimes, when it's not a factor, when you just have to show up and study. Going through the whole visa rigmarole is, I think, after what, 17 years of doing that, growing up through all of that, I think I want to break from it. I want to live more normalcy in that sense. I don't think it'll ever be normal, but at least closer to normalcy for now, for the duration of the masters.
What are you looking forward to explore while in London, other than studying?
Museums, for sure. I love my museums. I don't have to see anything in a city, but I'll have to see the museum. So
Okay.
being in London, you have access to these fantastic collections, obviously with very colored and checkered pasts, and that's something to contend with. Nonetheless, there are some excellent collections. Again, I have to preface this by saying, notwithstanding their very problematic past, it's
Yeah.
still an impressive collection,
Mm,
nonetheless. So the British Museum, there's one down the road from where I'll be staying called the Hunterian. It's in the old Royal College of Surgeons and something, and they have these. It's a very quirky, very strange collection.
okay.
So I haven't been there, but I really wanted to go. So you have that. You have things like the Charles Dickens Museum, the Sherlock Holmes Museum. Just the list goes on and on.
Mm.
and I could probably do one every week and not get bored, or go to the same one every day and
Yeah.
still find something new. So that part is the most, besides studies, besides all the opportunities and looking forward to this new chapter, I think museums for sure.
How does voting work in the UK? I assume it's very different than the US.
Uh, Honestly, not super familiar. That's part of the whole thing. You have the county level and you have the general elections every few years, depending on. Nowadays, it's a bit tentative because it's been a very turbulent political time in UK politics over the last decade. So you don't know when snap election is going to be called or some prime minister is going to resign, but you do have a say in general elections as well. I don't know when that's going to be because let's hope. I'm wondering what if Keir Starmer is going to stay in power. So not sure exactly, but I'm going to find out.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I'd like to ask my guests to leave one question for me or the viewers to contemplate on. And I wonder if you have one for us.
Absolutely. I think that question would be, what is one thing that belongs to you that nobody can take away from you? Like really, at the end of the day, what is one thing? I've stumbled upon this question a few times, and it varies from person to person. But at the end of the day, it's about recognizing what control you have, limited and
Mhm.
also expansive, and appreciating what you have
Mhm.
that nobody has a say in. And that could be anything. It can be dignity, self-respect, the clothes on your
Mhm.
back, the food in your belly. It can be however simple or however nuanced. But I think understanding that or appreciating that can be
Mhm.
really powerful in seeing life for what it is and going to bed a bit more content, maybe.
Wow, that is really empowering. Thank you.
Most welcome. I hope the viewers and yourself find it useful. I
Mm.
did find it personally powerful. If I can share one anecdote about
Yes.
this question. So, 3 years ago, I was about to take my gap year because administration stuff, so I had to delay honors. And I was speaking to this mentor of mine, and he was explaining what you actually own, and how you need to be accepting of the fact that very little actually belongs to you at the end of the day, and everything can change in an instant. In one moment, it can all go away, or it can all be given to you. And he gives this example of a sage, almost 1,000+ years ago. He was teaching a class, and this man approaches him and whispers in his ear, and he tells him. And by the way, this sage at the time he was a very wealthy trader. He was a wealthy businessman. He owned a you know fleet of ships and what have you. And so this man comes to him and whispers in his ear while he's teaching, and he tells him, "Your entire fleet, the one that held all of your wealth, it just sunk, right? It's all
Oh
gone."
my.
And the sage looks up at him and he's like, he nods and he says, "Okay, praise be to God," or some version of that where it's like, "Okay, thank God it happened." And the man's very confused. And he goes away, and the same guy comes back a while later, continues teaching, and the man comes back and he tells him, "Sorry about that. Actually, it was a different fleet of ships. My bad. Your fleet is fine. It's perfectly fine. Nothing's happened to your wealth." And the sage looks up at him, he nods again, and he says the same thing. "Praise be to God. Thank you." Or "Thank God." And after the class, the students ask him, like, "What happened, and why did you say that?" And he said, "Well, when I was told that I lost everything, all my wealth, I examined myself and I asked myself, does this create any emotion in me? Does this create any sense of loss? And if it does, then I'm ungrateful. There's clearly something wrong there." But it didn't. I didn't feel a change because it didn't belong to me ultimately. And when I
Mm.
was told that I had it back, I felt the same way because ultimately it didn't belong to me. And it was only a temporary trust. And to that effect, when some sages are asked what belongs to you, the answer that one of them has given is that the food in your belly and the clothes on your back.
Mm.
Because you can own a house, you can have a family, things can change in a matter of seconds. And
Yeah.
you don't know. But you can go to bed knowing that that belongs to you.
Mm.
And whatever else you have is just a temporary trust that you can really appreciate, be grateful for. It's obviously not about just being passive and saying, "Oh yeah, whatever happens happens, and I'm fine," and just sweeping it under the carpet, but it's having a perspective where I'm given the things that I'm given as a trust, and I take care of it while it's in my control, and I appreciate it for while it's there. But its absence does not cause me any harm. And I'll close with one of the sayings of Omar, which was love not that it causes attachment, and hate not that it causes destruction. And I think those are words to live by. It can really free you from extrapyramidal pain and suffering, because it keeps you within this balanced bound where you can live life and love and dislike, but within the bounds of this aphorism.
Thank you. Would you say that you're spiritual or religious?
I always find this question interesting. The answer to both would be yes, but more religious than spiritual, maybe. But it's a tough one to attribute to yourself, because it can be a bit disingenuous. So I'd say yes. I try my best, and I do find personally I find a lot of solace in what I believe in, and it gets me through the day. Yeah, that's what I would boil it down to if I could.
And if you meet an alien who doesn't know or believe in God, how would you describe God's love and presence?
Brilliant question. That's a brilliant question. I would say encompassing. If I had to pick one word, it would be encompassing and unconditional, the second word. But yes, it's the idea that there's just one reality, and we're all sort of just mirrors reflecting that, and it's everything around us. If you take that philosophy and take it a step further, if there's only God's domain, then there's nothing outside of that. And so where can you be except within God's domain? So he's all around you kind of thing. So if I could describe it, it would be three words: encompassing, ever present, and unconditional. And that's what poets like Attar and Hafez, this is what they would talk about, is that unconditional, encompassing love that is not sort of built on contingencies upon anything. It's just in of itself. And the Arabic for it would be fihi ma fihi, as Rumi says. In it is what it is. It's hard to even translate, but it's in of itself is itself. And it's about the essence of things.
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're most
Best
welcome.
wishes as you journey to London.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Audrey.
Aloha.